Good evening, Bexley. I am so happy to welcome you tonight to this beautiful space in the Bexley Schools, and we are grateful that the Bexley Schools are hosting us this evening. I think I know most of you, but in the event that you don't know me, I'm Lorianne Feibel, and I have the honor of being the president of Bexley City Council. Tonight we gather to celebrate what, in Helen Keller's words, Bexley knows is true. That alone we can do so little. Together we can do so much. As a collective, our innovative, industrious, inclusive collection of institutions and organizations energize one another and thus cooperatively strengthen our community. Celebrating the exciting achievements of various organizations and institutions while at the same time getting a glimpse of what their leaders are planning for the future is what the State of the Community is all about. Tonight we will hear from the Superintendent of Bexley City Schools, Dr. Kimberly Miller, everyone's favorite librarian, Director Ben Hickman. Our good mayor, Ben Kessler, will speak. Jeff Walker from the Community Foundation has some thoughts to share. And rounding up our night will be Elaine Pells, the superwoman who keeps Bexley Area Chamber of Commerce progressing. In its 8th year running, the State of the Community is one of my favorite newish traditions. Thank you, Mayor Kessler, for starting it. Before I turn the microphone over to our first speaker, I would like to introduce the elected officials that have joined us today. I believe there's all kinds of exciting happenings in the Bexley schools, so we're honored to have Michael Dennison, and I believe that, can you stand, Michael? Michael filled me in that his colleagues have some really great excuses, including some of them having their sons and daughters perhaps being inducted into some kind of special program. So it's pretty exciting for all of them. I know our city auditor, Bill Harvey, is here. Bill? And then a few of my colleagues are here as well. Mary Gottesman is here, and Steve Kais. Monique Lamke, Troy Markham, and Richard Sharp. Without further ado, please help me welcome Dr. Kimberly Miller to the stage to teach us a few things about the Bexley Schools. Let you come up, and then I'll go down.
Good evening. I'd like to also welcome you to Bexley City Schools and our beautiful Cassingham Theater. The board and I are always happy to host members of our community, so thank you for coming this evening. I wanted to, there we go, provide, as Lorianne said, a brief review of where we have been in the last year and where we're planning to go in the next few years. And I would like to start with our why. The reason that we do what we do each day is because of our students. And when your why is young faces and young minds who are eager to learn and grow, it's very easy to come every single day and put forth your very best effort. So that's our why in Bexley City Schools. As a review, in the last year, at the leadership of our Board of Education, we embarked upon a strategic planning process so that we could plan for our future and ensure that we are providing the very best educational opportunities for the students, both today and into the future. And so we've implemented a very bold strategic plan. We've launched a new mission statement that guides our plan, and that is to provide educational experiences that engage, equip, and empower each student. And we focus very, very intently on the word each, because truly educating our children means that each student, with whatever they bring to our schools each day, is having an experience that will propel them into a future of their choosing and for success. Why now? Why would we There we go. Why now? Why are we doing this work now? One of the reasons we embarked upon this process is it had been some time, back in 2007, since the district last took the time to really stop, reflect, and set a vision for the future. And so we felt that that was a fair amount of time, and it was time to do it again as I was coming new into the district. And again, the board realized this is important work for us to do. As we think about 21st century learning and 21st century work, we have to be thoughtful about what we do for our students. And so the first part of our mission statement is that we will engage our students. We are focused on engaging our students in individuals' lives, learning with research-based practices of teaching and learning that make a difference for students. We want to equip our students to be successful not only in school, but also to compete in a global and a rapidly changing economy when they leave us. And finally, we want students who are empowered. We are working diligently to empower our students to impact their world, their community, through real-world experiences tied to the classroom. We know that our students will be problem solvers, artists, creators, and a myriad of other professions that don't even exist right now. So empowering them to believe that they can make a very real and positive difference in their world is extremely important to us in the school district. We are, not sure what happened there. Okay. And we're back on. Okay. So less than a year into implementing our new goals and our plan, what have we accomplished so far? We've implemented consistent K-12 instructional goals and district-wide curriculum. That is an exceptional accomplishment because consistent curriculum and consistent learning supports children as they move through our schools, and it supports our teachers so that they can better collaborate. We have implemented a comprehensive K-12 curriculum review and revision process so that we no longer look, what are we doing in biology, but we look K-12 in science, and what do we want a K-12 education to do for our students? So we look across the board, vertically and horizontally, when we implement any new curriculum. So far, we've also identified a tool to assess the social and emotional well-being of our students. You may be aware that mental health is a serious concern for us in schools and in our societies. Nationwide Children's Hospital has recently reported through one of their campaigns or commercials, but I've also read this research that it's estimated that 20% of young people are suffering from mental illness. We need to be very intentional about supporting the development of social and emotional literacies in our young people and supporting their needs. And so we've just recently, in fact, I signed the contract today, have identified a tool that will help us to assess our students' social and emotional well-being so that we can then put programming in place to support them. We've identified an in-house leadership development program to support the growth and effectiveness of our district leadership team. In order to successfully administer the programming in our district, we need a strong leadership team to do so. And so we've developed an in-house program to support our leaders as well as our teachers. And we've used or implemented enhanced and improved safety procedures on all 3 of our campuses. One of the most important things we do each day is to keep our children safe. That's the social, emotional safety, but also their physical safety. And so while I can't speak specifically of what we've done, I can tell you that we have worked with a consultant and we've also made some significant improvements in our safety and security procedures across the district. What is our current focus? These are things that will be implemented next school year. We are currently working with our treasurer, Mr. Kyle Smith, who is here in the room as well. We'll be beginning the budgeting process, and we are working to make sure that our budget, our financial resources are tied very directly to the district goals that we have set forth. We will be implementing a coordinator of experiential learning. This is a new position for our district, and it will focus on real-world work experiences and service opportunities that students will be able to take part in outside of our schools as well as in our classrooms. This is a really exciting and unique position that will connect with our community both in Bexley and in the larger Central Ohio community, in order to bring those real-world experiences to our students. And then the third big new thing for next year will be implementing instructional coaches. We'll be identifying 3 of our teachers who will act as instructional coaches, going into classrooms, coaching teachers, demonstrating lessons, supporting teachers. Research shows that the most effective way to support the development of teachers is through job-embedded instructional coaching. And we will be moving in that direction because it is what our teachers need and what our teachers have asked for. And it also leads to improved learning for students. What is next for us? These are some next priorities that will take place over the next number of years. These are not things that will happen next year, but they will be processes that we will be engaged in over the next few years. First, we want to develop a comprehensive technology plan in order to increase the functionality of resources for students and teachers. Again, 21st century learning, most of us can't do our jobs without technology. Our students cannot learn as effectively as they could with a comprehensive plan to support them. And so that's going to take some time to develop and implement. We also want to create a comprehensive facilities plan to ensure that our facilities are ready to meet the needs of 21st century teaching and learning. Our growing student population, we have grown by about 10% over the last 5 years and are projected to continue to grow over the next 5 to 10 years. So student growth, enrollment growth is something we must consider, and also operational efficiency. Okay. We want to make sure that we're channeling most of our dollars into the classrooms, and so we'd like our facilities to be okay, I will keep going. To be more we want our buildings to be operationally efficient. Again, that will take us some time and will certainly involve community involvement. And then finally, we want to organize our district structure that aligns to our goals and creates a more flexible and responsive system of support for our staff and our students. So again, as we look over the next 2 to 3, 4 years, those are some of our priorities. I'd like to leave you with a brief video that talks a little bit about how this plan is working for our students and our staff. The next step is to organize all of the goals and the strategies into a format that we can monitor our progress, hold ourselves accountable for implementing the strategies that will help us to achieve our objectives.
So now it's finally here, I want to see everyone be supportive and find ways to get involved and stay involved and to help things move forward.
The further we dig into this plan, the more valuable we'll see as a whole district that this plan is really going to drive the work that we're doing. And I believe that when high expectations are placed on anyone, we rise to that occasion.
There is not this confusion or this disorganization, and I think that's going to help us as parents know that our kids are taken care of going forward.
So I feel like this is really helping both teachers and families connect as community members and utilize education for what its purpose really is, to prepare them for the future.
Each building has its own personality, which is a wonderful, unique thing for Bexley. But at the same time, we all want the end result for our children. We want them to be the highest performing or the best that they can be in who they are. And with that roadmap in place, our children, no matter which building they're in, should be able to get there.
Be exceptional for me.
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 Thank you. We are excited and we are very committed to providing an exceptional experience for each of our students, both today and tomorrow. And I thank you, the community of Bexley, for supporting Bexley City Schools and our students each day. And now it is my pleasure to introduce the favorite librarian, Mr. Ben Heckman.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. I'm confident I'm not the favorite librarian. Excellent. Okay. It's great to be here tonight. Thank you. As everyone in this room knows, I can be a talker. So I've got my own timer. We've gone through this a couple times today. I know Sam's here too. All right, let's get this going. So I love being a part of this community, and I love being the director of this amazing library. So it's great to be back again this year. So thank you, and I'm happy to share this with you. On behalf of everybody, I just want to say that we love being your library. Your community, the community here is supportive, and the way you use the library is tremendous. And so you inspire us every day to keep doing innovative programming and providing services that are the best in class. So all right, let's have some fun with numbers of 2018, okay? All right, this is how many items that we circulated. Here's the number of resources that are available just in our library, in our building. That doesn't count the millions of items available through the consortium and Search Ohio and Ohio Link. So we have millions at our disposal. I mentioned these numbers here. We sent over 5,000 items out and only requested 300 plus items. That should talk to us about the depth of our collection, the well-roundedness of our collection. We want to be the people's university, and so I think that demonstrates that we are, because we're the best of all libraries everywhere. We had just over 6,000 patrons use our meeting rooms. That is an increase of 1,000 patrons from last year. I think this is a trend that's going to continue to grow, and we're going to need to make room for them. We had just shy of 23,000 people attend our program, so that's a big number. So a good way to think about it is about 16 programs a week with about 440 people coming of all ages for all different things, from story time to all types of different talks. We had 32,000 people get onto the computer in our library. We had 67,000 people get on through our Wi-Fi. So together, that's like 100,000 people connecting to the internet through the library. So that's just a demonstration of the different ways the library is getting used here in the future. What else? What do we got here? All right. Oh yeah, what's new at your library? We got a lot of great new stuff. Guitars and ukuleles. This is something that we started last year. You're able to check these out. So instead of getting a ukulele for Christmas or wherever and having it sit in your closet, you can check one out and see that you're not going to use it first. Personalized picks. This is this is really fabulous. You can go online, fill out a survey, tell us what you love to read, and we will personally pick 3 books that you can come and pick up at your library. You can do that every month. You can do that one time. So it's like Amazon, but like way better and personal for you. And in the last 2 weeks, we've launched the music version of this. So let us know what you like to listen to, and we'll get CDs ready for you. Board games. We launched board games like a month ago. There's only like 6 left. I think we put 88 into the collection. It's a new hot trend is board games, so come and try them out before you buy them. New program guide. Oh, this is the best. Did anybody get this in the mail? Yeah, all right. So thanks to Ken Flower, shout out. We had a tri-fold program guide, and now we've got it more sleek. It gives us a little more room to let you know what we're doing at the library. Plus, we can mail it, so it's your library at your doorstep. I say that because that's like the only thing I contributed to the program, other than lead it. Lynda.com, this is a great online web resource so that you can learn everything from how to do Excel spreadsheets to CAD drawings to, yeah, I see you, Sam, making me nervous, to how to play the banjo. We have Creative Bug. This is another fabulous online tool. It's all things crafts. Macrame is back. So if you want to learn how to macrame, there's patterns and everything on Creative Bug all through your library. The one thing that didn't make the cut is the New York Times is now available through your library. You can get it at home, you can get it at a library, all online, sans the crossword puzzle and the cooking section. All right, what's coming up at your library? We're very excited to announce tonight that thanks to the tremendous support of the Bexley Community Author Series, we're going to offer in the fall a counterpart geared towards family and youth. So we'll be having a YA author come or a children's illustrator come in the fall as part of this series. So keep your eye out for more information about that. Bird watching kits. So when you're looking for an adventure and you want to look at birds, you can come and check out a kit and go look at birds, if that's your thing. COSI Science Fest, we're teaming up with the city and the schools and a bunch of institutions here in Bexley, and we'll be participating in the Science Festival on May 1st of this year. And we're working on a civic center. So if you want to know the best way to get a hold of your legislative representative at any time throughout the year, you can come, write them a note, and we'll send it off to you. This is something that you can keep an eye on for the future. Coming up, Bexley Community Author Series, April 23rd at 7 o'clock. Tickets are on sale now. So come and join us for that great evening. Summer Community Read blasts off May 31st. We're doing t-shirts, we're doing yard signs, so come and check it out. It'll be super fun. We're reading all summer. And so we just want to say thank you to all the partners here in Bexley. We couldn't do what we do without you. We want to say thank you to all of our other partners that we work with. And last but not least, I'd say it's great partnerships like this. It's the tremendous staff at the library, and then this tremendously supportive community. And with great pride, I get to say that we've gained an extra star in 2018. So in 2017, that's right. In 2017, we were a 3-star library, and now in 2018, we're a 4-star library. So there's 7,500 libraries in America, and there's 31 who get this designation for libraries our size. And so with that, coming under just 6 minutes, we want to say thank you to everyone and have a wonderful rest of your evening. Oh, right, no, I've got to introduce. Thank you. That's very hard for me to talk for 5 minutes. So thank you. It is my great honor and pleasure to introduce the man of the hour for 10 minutes, whatever you have left, the one and only Mayor Ben Kessler.
Ben, I took one for the team going after you. It's always tough. Good evening. How is everybody? Good. Thank you all for coming out here. I have a couple thank yous that I want to, oops, I scrolled through that too fast. A couple thank yous I want to get out of here, I'm done, all right, see you guys later. I want to thank Sam Metcalf, who's our communications coordinator and put a ton of work into this evening. And recognize we have here Bexley directors, Kathy Rose, Beecher Hale, who's our finance director. Kathy is our zoning and building director. Mike Price, our rec director. Bill Dorman, our service director, and the chief of police, Larry Reinhardt. So thank you all for being here and for your help. Lori and Feibel did a fantastic job recognizing City Council. If you are a board or commission member with the City of Bexley, could you please stand right now and be acknowledged? Thank you for your service. Thank you. And I want to recognize the youngest member in attendance this evening, Miss Sophie Kessler. Thank you for coming. So first I'm going to start with a couple highlights from 2018, in theory. There we go. 2018, we launched the North Community Gardens, adding 50 new community garden plots to the City of Bexley. The North Community Gardens set a template for what we hope to do in making improvements to the South Community Gardens in 2019 and 2020, with raised garden beds, with a pergola and some meeting space, and a beautiful garden shed. This project was made possible by the Bexley Community Foundation, and you'll be hearing a lot of that this evening. The Jazz at Havenwood Park series launched to great fanfare this summer. We had 4 jazz events at Havenwood Park. It was a fantastic, laid-back, family-friendly picnic, listen to jazz event, and I'm happy to announce that we will be bringing it back to Havenwood Park in 2019. I want to thank you. Oh yeah, there we go. I want to thank you, City of Bexley, for supporting Issue 12, which is the Bexley Street Levy, which is going to allow us to fund some of our really exciting street projects that we'll be talking about this evening, but provided really essential funding to our community. 2018 was also a year of restaurant explosion. We brought Harvest, Newfangled Kitchen, Freshie, Brassica, and House Wine to Bexley in 2018, and we have more choices than are reasonable for dining in Bexley. And the same amount of parking spaces as we had beforehand as well. This is a big one. The Blue Jackets Foundation granted the city of Bexley $65,000 for the construction of a new playground at Schneider Park. We're going to be talking more about Schneider Park later, but I do want to let you know now, in case I forget, that there are excellent volunteer opportunities for you at the end of this month to help us construct said playground. Bexley ranked 11th in Business Insider's list of the top 50 suburbs in America. We were not told about this until it showed up on Twitter, and they used a great photo of our old city hall. But nonetheless, Bexley was 11th of the suburbs in America by Business Insider. Also, we realized in 2018 a project we've been working on for many years to bring increased efficiency to our electrical consumption in the city by the installation of solar panels at City Hall. They look a little bit like this. It's rousing music. And also at our service garage. Vendor got a little excited when they produced this video. So those solar panels have about a 12 to 13 year payoff period, and they have about a 40-year life. So we are going to be enjoying very green and very free electricity for many years. We also launched a new program. It was a small program, but it was a fun one, which is Cross with a Cop, where Officer Chapman did a fantastic job of helping middle school students get oriented in crossing Main Street and Broad Street to go to their new middle school complex. And you would think that everyone knows how to cross the street, but we observed many adults not crossing the street appropriately, and we were able to give some really good tips. I'll tell you the top ones so you can share them with your own family. Walk your bike through the crosswalk. Don't ride it through the crosswalk. That's the most important one. Don't listen to music while you're crossing the crosswalk, and don't text while you're crossing the crosswalk. And cross when you're supposed to cross the crosswalk. So there you go. Pro tips from Cross with a Cop, notes from the field. Also, we brought Kogo stations to Bexley right in time for it to freeze. So nobody's really been able to enjoy those yet, but come spring here very shortly, hopefully we'll all be able to get on those bikes and enjoy some green transportation around the city. So I want to talk about major priorities we have in 2019, and I'm going to start with some momentum that we have behind our new Environmental Sustainability Advisory Committee. They've been doing fantastic work with the city's green initiative, so I really want to highlight that work. First off, the ESAC has just launched a new website, ESAC Environmental Sustainability Advisory Committee. ESAC has just launched a new website, greenbexley.org. You can check it out right now on your devices, but don't. Listen to me instead, please. Thank you. And this is going to continue to be built out and provide really good advice about how to recycle materials you can't recycle through our traditional recycling streams, and also how to use Bexley's new food waste program, which I'm about to talk about. One of the initiatives that the ESAC folks are working on in partnership with several other groups, because this has turned into the end of April. We don't have a name for it yet. It's like, there's so much happening at the end of April. Do we have a name for it, Monique? I don't know if we have a name. But we have Arbor Day, April 26th. We have a lot of events on Arbor Day. Greater Bexley Cleanup will be April 27th. That's where you can bring your shredder and hazardous waste, prescription pill drop-off, household goods, upcycling will be the Greater Bexley Cleanup. And then there's a new event coming to the Bexley community, the Green Bexley Fair. That's going to be at Maryland Elementary School grounds. Tesla is going to be there, Coda is going to be there, the Bug Guy is going to be there, the Falcon Guy is going to be there. There are like a gazillion other folks that are going to be there at the Green Bexley Fair. It will be focused on sustainability, sustainable living, and we're also going to have our Cops and Kids event at the Green Bexley Fair. We're also launching at the Green Bexley Fair the Bexley Youth Week of Service, and we'll be giving a lot more information out of there. But it's an initiative through Councilwoman Monique Lampke that's going to provide a ton of different volunteer opportunities for Bexley's youth, volunteer opportunities they can sign up for, and some really sweet prizes at the end of it. And to cap it all off, COSI's Science Festival, which was referenced by Ben Heckman, will have several events in Bexley, May 1st through 3rd, and then the penultimate event at the Scioto Mile, where there'll be a very, very large science festival. They are putting a ton of resources and effort into it with the assistance of Battelle. Bexley's food waste program launched this week. If you haven't signed up for it yet, you can at bexley.org/food-waste, or you can go on our website and just Google food waste. But what we've done now is provided food waste recycling to over the 1,000 households who have initially signed up, which is really good uptake. Last year, we diverted over 40 tons of waste from the landfill, and that food waste is really critical to divert from the landfill, not just because it goes to farmers and community gardeners as compost, but because the amount of methane gas that's released by food waste when it's properly turned into compost is dramatically reduced from that what would otherwise show up in the landfill. So this is a really innovative program. It's not so innovative if you live, for example, in most European countries where it's been standard for years and years and years, but it is innovative in Ohio, where we have now launched Ohio's very first community curbside food waste recycling program. Thank you for supporting that. Bill Dorman, our service director, was hard at work this year securing a grant to make sure that the Bexley recycling toters can go to every Bexley household, and those will be coming to you in May, so look for those. There are a couple other initiatives of the Environmental Sustainability Committee that we'll be talking about over the coming months. We just had a business workshop with businesses throughout Bexley to talk about two key ideas that we're pursuing. One of them is universal recycling. So Bexley has been recycling for over 15 years at our curbside for residences. But one thing that we hear from apartment residents is they would really like to see that service at their apartments. It's an incredibly rare service to find at apartments in Bexley and anywhere. The other one is business recycling. It's difficult for businesses and multifamily owners to secure affordable recycling options. And that's because individual businesses are kind of left on their own to go out and find contracts. And it's pretty inefficient for a hauler to come out for one stop to any individual business. So we're listening to businesses, we're gathering that intel, and we're trying to come up with a Bexley solution for universal recycling. Our commitment is that by the end of 2019, we will have a roadmap in place to bring universal recycling to Bexley by 2020. The other thing that the ESAC is tackling is single-use plastics. So I think we all know that there are some problems with plastics in the environment, and it's becoming a ever more pervasive issue throughout the world. The City of Bexley would like to show some leadership in single-use plastics regulation. We've met with our largest vendor or supplier of single-use plastic bags, which is Giant Eagle, and we are pretty excited that we think we have a plan to work with them and with other vendors in Bexley to eliminate plastic bags in Bexley and to encourage the use of reusable bags. But we're going to take it a step further, and we're also looking at other plastics, plastic straws, plastic lids, non-recyclable takeout containers. And council has been working through some legislation. Troy Markham is the council member that's been drafting that and redrafting it and taking feedback and drafting it some more. So that you'll probably see that in the next month or two. The legislation that's proposed has been very heavily vetted by businesses and users, and will hopefully introduce a meaningful single-use plastics ban to Bexley starting at the end of this year. Our commitment as a city, thank you. Our commitment as a city is that at community events starting this summer, we will be only having compostable products at our events, and the Bexley City Pool will be a zero waste facility in 2019. Thank you. So, last year I talked to you about PACE. PACE means Property Assessed Clean Energy. It's a way for us to help property owners afford things like solar panels in properties and stretch the payment over time at a favorable interest rate by putting that on the tax duplicate. It's been really hard for us to get off the ground, but we've started working with other regions, notably the Toledo region that's leading on residential PACE. And we hope that by the end of the year, we'll have an enactable residential PACE program. And we hope to flip the switch on this at the same time as Toledo does. In concert with that, I will be working with City Council this year to create a plan to incentivize the installation of solar panels on new construction. Now, some states are considering mandating solar panels on new construction. That's probably not the best solution for Ohio, especially in Bexley, where we have an inordinate and wonderful amount of trees, but not every property makes sense for solar. But some properties make a lot of sense for solar, and it makes even more sense at the time of new construction. So I'll be working with council to propose a program that asks property owners who are developing new principal structures to at least study installing solar and the impact that it will have on those properties. It's free. Vendors are very happy to supply you with an analysis of solar, and it's a very sensible and easy way for us to make solar more accessible in concert with our PACE program that will provide meaningful and easy access to funding for solar. I want to talk about some of the exciting developments we have happening in the Bexley Recreation and Parks program. If you guys know me, one of the things you know about me is I love a good logo. And so I'm happy to unveil this evening the new look of some of Bexley Recreation and Parks' major programs. Here we have the Jeffrey Mansion Preschool, the Backpack, which is our before and after care program, Jeffrey Summer Camp, which is an homage to some really cool vintage old logos from the summer camp. The Schools Off Camps On and the Bexley Pool logos are rolling out now, and you will be seeing them in use starting this year. It's really great to see this consistency, and it really highlights the fact that we have some exciting, coherent, and cohesive programs that are bringing a lot of new value to the community. Let's talk about Jeffrey Mansion. I'm going to talk a little bit about Jeffrey Mansion, but I think Jeff Walker after me is going to talk a little bit more about Jeffrey Mansion. So I'll try not to over-talk about Jeffrey Mansion. But as you know, we've been talking about adding on to Jeffrey Mansion. We've had a threefold growth in preschool enrollment in the past 10 years. We've seen a 250% increase in summer campers in the past 10 years. We have 1,200 more program participants coming through Jeffrey Mansion alone than we did 10 years ago. Because of this, we have more pressure on our facility and park than we ever have before. And frankly, it's a more exciting facility than it's ever been before. So we've been working with architects at Schooley Caldwell, and we've been working through a public process last year at the Jeffrey Mansion Master Plan Update to plan a space that takes advantage of some pre-existing space at Jeffrey Mansion and turns it into a really usable, multi-purpose space for the entire community. The space that we're talking about is what we call the lower level carriage court. It's what you walk through to get down to the playground from the front of Jeffrey Mansion. And we plan to enclose it with a glass atrium and open up the space that will formerly be a maintenance garage and open up access to the lower level of Jeffrey Mansion. This will actually more than double the amount of programmable space that we have at Jeffrey Mansion. I think maybe even more than triple the amount of space, but I start to make up numbers when I get up here, so I'm gonna keep talking. The entire project is still under planning, but has been made possible by a very generous commitment from the Bexley Community Foundation to raise $1.5 million in funding for the project. So thank you to the Bexley Community Foundation. Have you guys done it yet? Are you getting there? We're still working. Just like, come on, man. Come on. Another really exciting gift that the city has received is a donor who's come forward with $100,000 to help us provide pickleball courts to the Jeffrey Park area. The pickleball courts probably aren't drawn to scale because your mayor just put them on boxes up front, and Mike's actually laughing as he looks at them. But they will be located just to the east of the tennis courts at Jeffrey Park. We're going through some planning process for that, and that will provide 4 pickleball surfaces that probably will look nothing like what you're seeing right there, but will be located to the east of those tennis courts. We've been working hard for several years on Schneider Park. Schneider Park is the park located in South Bexley to the west of Sheridan on the east bank of Alum Creek. One really critical component of Schneider Park is the southern athletic fields. These athletic fields are now in place, are being watered, not right now, but they're being watered, they're being greened up, and they're being prepared for use this year. We're adding to the Schneider Park athletic fields the playground that I referenced, which I would love to see you help build at the end of March, if you hadn't heard that yet. This was not an easy project. The city took title to an area that turned out to be on a former landfill, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. And we've added 2 feet of fill above that landfill in order to provide a safe environment for users of the field. But the fields will be opened in 2019. We're also working on connecting Schneider Park to Main Street. The Main Street connector will connect from essentially the parking lot across from Rusty Bucket. We'll have a staircase and a plaza. The staircase will lead down to our natural trail that will go through Schneider Park, and it will connect Main Street to the Schneider Park athletic fields just off of Livingston Avenue. We provide over a 3/4 mile walking path. It's a scenic park. It's slowly coming together. Another component that we're trying to add to Schneider Park is a dog park. We've had a dog park study group that's been, we have a member over here, has been working for, I believe, over 3 years on the concept of a Bexley dog park. And we've identified Schneider Park as a really great area for it. It's going to be a relatively small dog park, as planned. But it'll provide amenity for small dogs and large dogs, fenced in, mulch floor environment. It will be treed, so it'll be really nicely shaded. It will have water stations. All of these it wills are based upon some funding requests that we have out there, but we're working on it. So this is a, let's do this. It's not a commitment yet, but we're working on it. Development updates. So we have a lot going on in development in Bexley, but I already touched on one of the most important development projects that we have, and it's the area right next to the Schneider Park athletic fields that I was talking about. That area is Ferndale Mayfield, just north of Livingston Avenue. You might know it as the apartments behind Moo Moo Car Wash, if you've washed your car recently. We've learned a lot about that site as we've started to learn how to develop the athletic fields on the site that the city owns, and we've studied them. We've learned that there was a landfill underneath much of those apartments, as far as we can tell, and we're still learning more about it. We've learned that the development occurred in the 1960s on top of that former landfill, and there was very little consideration taken in to account for the landfill that was underneath it or some of the structural conditions that would result from that landfill. In fact, the vendors that have been working with us to identify the environmental issues there have told us that there was absolutely no capping of the landfill, and that landfill is directly beneath the grass at the areas of Ferndale Mayfield that we studied. And we have studied a lot of them. We have drilled over 40 holes in the soil around Ferndale Mayfield. Each red dot that you see right there represents a test that the city has conducted. We don't have access to private property, so we've tested all along the streets. We've tested along Elm Creek. We've tested on 2 doubles that the Bexley Community Improvement Corporation purchased. And the reason the CIC purchased it was to test further and to really understand, were there indoor air quality issues? What was the full extent of contamination under some of these apartments? Every single test that we conducted, with the exception of one site, was contaminated with lead and arsenic. Some of them also were contaminated with benzopyrenes, which are known carcinogens, and cadmium, among other toxic chemicals. The City of Bexley and the Bexley Community Improvement Corporation is committed to improving conditions at Ferndale Mayfield. I've been talking about it at States of the Community for years before this. I hope to not be talking about it for many more years. But I can tell you that as we've worked on this, we're getting closer. The Community Improvement Corporation issued a request for interest from developers to help us form a plan for how to create new affordable housing so that we have affordable housing options for the residents of our city, and for plans to how to clean the site, and to bring together all of the resources that we've gathered over the years to create clean, safe, affordable conditions for the residents that we have at Ferndale Mayfield. I'm really happy to announce today that one of the biggest roadblocks to this was the biggest property down there is a 72-unit apartment complex, 2 buildings, 3 stories of each building, also on top, we know for sure now, on top of that landfill. The property owner has been trying to sell that property, has been very frustrated because every person who's tried to buy the property keeps on knocking on my door and saying, "What do you know about this?" I say, "Well, I don't know anything about your property, but I can tell you what I know about every single site all around you." And so they start asking questions about environmental conditions. The pressure the city has placed on property owners in the area has resulted in some really concrete change. One of the changes is that in the coming months, the 72-unit apartment complex is going to be cleaned, and it's going to be safe for the residents to live there, thanks to a grant, actually not a grant, a loan to that property owner from the Ohio Water Development Authority. So that's going to happen in the next few months, and it will provide us with 72 units that are safe and clean. But we have a lot further to go, and we're going to continue to be working on Ferndale and Mayfield. As we work on development in Bexley, one thing is really clear. Property on Main Street is at a premium. There is almost no vacancy on Main Street or North Cassidy Avenue. The market is incredibly, incredibly attracted to Bexley, and it's because of the work that the folks in this room have been doing. So as we work on development on Main Street, we need to continue to look at new opportunities to put together properties that are underperforming, or maybe houses that weren't developed for retail in the first place on Main Street. And you'll see a lot of innovative work coming out of the Bexley Community Improvement Corporation and the City of Bexley as we work on that in the years to come. I want to talk about safety, because none of the efforts that we're talking about tonight are complete or meaningful without safety. I'm proud to announce that the new police officer positions that we created through Bexley City Council several years ago at this point, 2 or 3 years ago, are now fully staffed, and we have a full complement of 32 sworn police officers with the Bexley Police Force, including 2 mid-shifts. Our police department is fully staffed and it's humming. Our Citizens Police Academy has been an incredibly successful program, and one of the things that we found as we have a fully staffed department is that we are able to dedicate time and resources to community-serving curriculum such as the Citizens Police Academy, and curriculum that really enhances the sense of community and connectedness to the police department. The Citizens Police Academy offers activities such as CPR training, active shooter training, ride-alongs with officers, information on gangs and gang combating. Participants get to do simulations of traffic stops and learn some of the real complex jobs that police officers get into as they go through that. They get to do a beer goggle simulator where they learn all about what it's like to drive under the influence, which it's better to learn that from beer goggles than any other way. And every now and then participants do participate in a Taser demonstration. And if you would like to sign up for that, be my guest. We'll take a video and we'll share it with the rest of City Council whenever you're recognized. We have a Cops and Kids activity that's included Shop with a Cop, where we've helped increase connectivity between kids who need shoes or need jackets and our police department. They've helped with drug drop-off events in the city. This year, we're also launching body cameras in the Bexley Police Department. We've been studying how other communities are doing this. We've been making sure that we're able to comply with public records requests. We've been making sure that we're able to do it in a responsible way. Body cameras help increase the transparency of our police department. They help us make sure that we are providing the level of service and the correct type of service to the community. They keep us accountable, and it's a really good thing, and it's something that our officers have been requesting, and we're happy to partner with them in providing. Here are our key stats. I share these every year, and the chart's getting a little longer every year. We track thefts, burglaries, and robberies every year. 2018 saw a decrease in robberies, a decrease in burglaries, and we're pretty flat, just slightly lower on thefts. But as you can see, our crime statistics continue to be relatively level over the 20-year period that we study. We keep on working on being better, and the way that we're able to be better is informing our residents how to secure their properties effectively, and we've seen a really, really effective use of new technology. The Ring doorbell cameras, some of the new types of security that have been out there have been helpful in reducing property theft statistics in Bexley. I've already been given my time limit, so this is bad, so I apologize to all of you. But I want to talk about the streets that we're going to be working on in 2019. With the street levy dollars, we're going to be opening up a lot of street projects this year. For one thing, we're going on Roosevelt, south of Main Street. We're continuing water line work and repaving. And we're going to be trying to repave Charles Street between Roosevelt and our eastern boundary. We'll also be adding curbs to Charles, and we plan to add curbs to Charles further to the west in the next phase of that project. Powell Avenue from Drexel to Columbia, Caroline Avenue, where we will also be adding curbs. We are trying to add curbs to all of our streets that do not have them. North Columbia from Caroline to Delmar, Dawson from Broad to Fair, Ardmore from Dale to Fair, and North Remington from Maryland to Denver. These projects are based upon the pavement rating that we do every year. We have several other streets that we want to get to, but we're trying to make sure that we're building up a reserve in our street levy to make it last as long as we can. So these are the priority projects that we're working on in 2019. Another one that has been a project that seems like it's taken forever is getting a walk, don't walk signal at Elm and Cassingham, right outside of this area. It's a really important safety infrastructure that was recommended in our Safe Routes to School program back in 2012. We've been trying to get grants for it for years and years and years. And finally, we have leveraged a federal grant, which if you've ever worked with a federal grant, takes about 4 years to actually put in place. And this summer, we will see a new signal at Elm and Cassingham with a walk, don't walk signal. It's very exciting, so I thought I'd give that its own slide. Another project that we've been working on for years with Whitehall and Gahanna is coming to Bexley this year, which is Bexley Municipal Fiber. That's a fiber that's being brought to our businesses and institutions. It's a way to connect Capital University, the Bexley School District, the city of Bexley, and businesses who want to use it to data centers throughout Central Ohio, providing us with first mile, incredibly fast, incredibly robust internet service and data center activity. That's all I know about, so don't ask me any technical questions, but it's really good. As you know, we care deeply about our beautification efforts in Bexley, and we have citizens who do great work every year raising money for beautification. We have a historic input of trees and flowers in the city of Bexley. Bexley, in my opinion, has never looked any better than it has today, and it's thanks to many of the people in this room who helped to raise funds and plan projects around beautification. This year, we're bringing flower pots to North Cassidy. We're updating our Main Street flower pots. This is thanks to Bexley beautification funding. We're planting more trees, and we're going to work on installing the first phase of the Arboretum component of the Commonwealth Park master plan, and that will be occurring at the southwest portion of Commonwealth Park. You've been using the Bexley base for many years, and it's been showing. We fielded over 2,000 requests through the base and closed over 2,000 requests. So if you don't have this app, download it now, bexley.org/base. We'll tell you how to get it. It's on the iPhone and Android, and it's a great way for you to connect with us about service issues that you have in the city. The Bexley Diversity and Inclusion Initiative has continued to grow. This year, we're going into a strategic planning process where we're looking at the next phase of what we're doing. To date, the Bexley Diversity and Inclusion Initiative has been helping program activities around diversity and inclusion in the city. It's been partnering with the school district, with the library, with Capital University, with CSG, and with other people that I'm probably leaving out of this. But one of the more successful events that we've had is the new resident event. We had one of those last week. All of you are invited to our new resident cookout that's happening this summer. Keep an eye out for the dates. It's great to have community leaders, participants, and old hats at hand to meet new residents and welcome them warmly to the community. Finances in Bexley. 2018, our income tax came in softer than we expected it to be. So 2019 is a year of hanging tight. We don't have any capital expenditures in our budget other than our street program in 2019, but we have accrued new money into our capital budget. So what we're doing is we're taking a watchful wait and see attitude. We do have a balanced budget in 2019, and we're optimistic about what next year holds. We have 3 new planning initiatives that we're working on this year. The first is a Historic Preservation Plan Initiative. Bexley has historic preservation controls for residential property, but not for commercial property. So in theory, if somebody wanted to purchase the Bexley Library from the library, is it for sale? That's the right answer. There's nothing to say that a historic structure that's a commercial structure couldn't be torn down. There's no zoning control around it. So we've kind of been trying to find the right time between contentious demolitions in Bexley, and we keep on trying to dodge them. Maybe now's the right time. But we're working on modernizing our historic preservation code, looking at how we treat historic residences in the city, but also historic commercial property for a comprehensive overhaul of that. We're also looking at a Havenwood Park landscape plan. We've solicited bids from vendors. We're going to choose a vendor and work on a steering committee comprised of residents that live around the park and users of the park and city commission members to improve the landscaping on the outer edges of Havenwood Park. And a bike infrastructure plan has been financed by council. Actually, last year, we were doing so many plans last year that we just didn't think we had the bandwidth for it. We will be launching our bike infrastructure plan group this summer, trying to find the best bike routes, the best type of signage for those bike routes to bring to the city of Bexley. We have a lot of fun planned for you this year, Bexley. And I want to thank the Bexley Celebration Events team, led by Lorianne Feibel, but lots of other subcommittees led by lots of other people. They plan the 4th of July evening activities. They plan the main event. They plan Jazz at Havenwood Park. They plan the Labor Day block party, the Harvest Festival, the Egg Dash, the tree lighting. What am I forgetting? The menorah lighting. Lots of more things, maybe. Main event date night. Lots of fun happening. Bexley Celebrations Events team is 100% private funded for the first time last year, and they are doing a fantastic job of raising funding and raising the level of excitement in the community. So let's keep in touch. We're gonna have a new community update out here in a few months to you. We keep on sending new resident info packets out to our residents. The best part of your water bill is not paying your water bill, but reading your water bill newsletter. That comes out every quarter. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, I'm on Twitter. And the Bexley Blast email is the most critical communications piece that comes out from the city every week. If you don't have it, sign up at bexley.org/blast. I can't talk. Or go see Sam. He's right here, and he will sign you up. He'll make sure that you get your Bexley Blast. That is all I have to tell you about, but you can reach me anytime you want. Give me a call. We'll have coffee. We'll have coffee with the mayor updates. It'll be good. It is now my honor to introduce, I believe, Jeff Walker from the Bexley Community Foundation. Jeff is an officer and a gentleman. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
You know, you don't want to go after any of these great speakers tonight, but you definitely don't want to go after the mayor, because he's the only guy that doesn't give himself a time limit. So he's got all the time to give that detailed presentation. I'm back on to 5 minutes now. So this will be very much of a, back to the vein of a broad overview. We were talking earlier that we think maybe next year we should have the Bexley Orchestra here in front. And it'd be like the Academy Awards, when you run out of time, everybody just play the music, and we'll have to go off. So I am Jeff Walker, the chair of the Bexley Community Foundation. A lot of what you've already heard about tonight really involves the foundation. And so I'm not going to be repetitive to a lot of the things that are going on in the city, but I would like to update you a little bit about what's happening at the foundation and our perspective on what's happening in the city. I hope I'm not boring everybody with the details, but I want to make sure everybody's comfortable with kind of what we are and who we are. Bexley Community Foundation was just started 9 years ago. We used to call ourselves a little baby organization, you know, for the first few years. We're coming up on 10 years next year. I guess we probably won't be able to, we're almost a teenage organization, I guess, but we're still young, we're still just getting started, but we've really, I think, made some tremendous progress in just that 9 years. We now have 12 funds altogether. I think a lot of people think of the Community Foundation as the General Community Fund, which is our largest fund, but we have 11 additional funds that really specialize on different targeted areas that people might have interest in. The newest fund, which the mayor just kind of referenced, is the Bexley Celebrations and Events organization. Is a separate entity, but we started the Bexley Celebration and Events Fund, so we are the funding arm for all of those activities that Mayor Kessler just went through, all those wonderful activities. So we are the funding arm for that, and in the first year, as I said, it was just started in 2018, and just the first year we had 200 donations into that fund alone. So I think we got off to a fun start on that, and as the mayor said, now those events are fully privately funded, and we're really happy to be a part of that. But I think what happened with that fund is really emblematic of what we are trying to do and what we want to be for this community. You know, we say we are a foundation that wants to improve the way Bexley lives, learns, works, and plays. And that's really our motivation. We're all aware, as the mayor referenced, to tight budgets, and there's only so much municipalities that can do. There's only so much that you and other organizations can do alone. And I believe more than ever that a community is so much stronger if you can unite private funding, private donations with the missions of a broader community, whether that be the city or the organizations within that city. And that's what we want to do. These 12 funds represent that. How do we work with different sub-organizations and work with the city to move forward and make Bexley a better place to do all of that, live, learn, work, and play? I bring that up because the Celebrations Events Fund, I don't have to tell you, you know, that started in 18, but 2018 wasn't the first year Bexley had fireworks, right? I mean, it's been going on a long time. We started a couple years ago the Bexley Community Author Series Fund in cooperation with the library. That event had been happening before, and obviously we all know the library is exponentially older than the Community Foundation is. But we were able to create those kind of partnerships to really take things to the next level and to grow things for the community. So I ask you, as you look at these 12 funds, to think about if you're interested in getting involved. We need involvement from the community in every way. I know probably most of you in the room have been asked for donations, and please, I'm not trying to underplay that. We want the donations, and we are very, very blessed for the support that we have gotten. But we also need volunteers to help us do what we're trying to do and progress in all of these different missions. And believe it or not, this is probably the point I want to emphasize. I'm running out of time. That I want to emphasize, we need ideas for spending money. We need grants. I'm very happy to say in our first funding series this year, and we have 2 general funding series, we had 16 letters of intent, requests for grants from the Community Foundation. That was the highest amount we had ever received in a funding series. So we're starting to get more and more requests, and that means we can do more and more for the city. Where are we so far? Last year, we hit the $1 million mark in terms of grants that we've given in the then 8 years. So far already, just shortly into 2019, we've hit $1,250,000 in grants that we've given back and granted, actually, to the city of Bexley. And I know I'm out of time, but I have to just give a little bit about what is clearly the biggest project that we've tried to bite off, and that is the commitment to fund a major portion of the Jeffrey Mansion expansion and renovation that the mayor has talked about. So I'll make this very, very quick, but it was with a lot of churning of the teeth and arm twisting that the board undertook the idea to do a capital campaign, our first ever capital campaign, to support this project. We originally tossed around the idea of making a $600,000 commitment. We moved that to $800,000, and somehow through some crazy thoughts at the end of that meeting, we decided to make it around $1 million. And there was quite a bit of angst about that. We have an annual meeting every year. I'm sure some of you, I know some of you have been to that. We decided to kick off the campaign this last September at that annual meeting and kick off what was going to be the $1 million campaign. Thanks to a lot of members of the team and Gary Giller, who headed up our capital campaign, we asked for some early lead gifts to try to kind of get the excitement started. And the lead gift phase was so overwhelming that by the time we went to announce the start of our $1 million campaign, we had raised right around $940,000. So it was an interesting meeting to kick off that campaign. And that night we decided and announced that we were going to raise the goal to $1.5 million. We originally thought the $1 million campaign was going to be a 2-year campaign. As I said in September, we announced it was $1.5 million. And I'm not prepared to give you totals yet because we're making big announcements in April, but I can tell you that we have now reached the $1.5 million goal for that Jeffrey Mansion capital campaign. We're not done. We're going to continue to take donations, and this September, we're going to have some events. We want to make sure that this was not a campaign that just reached out to, or simply reached out to the large donor base. We want to make sure everybody in the community feels involved in this. So we're having an additional fundraising phase before we completely wrap up. But we're certainly very happy we've achieved the goal. I know I'm out of time, so just a little bit to wrap up about where we're headed. Stop by our office from 3 to 5 p.m. on April 10th. That is the week that we're kind of celebrating, and I wouldn't say pop champagne, but we're going to have some ice cream to celebrate hitting the goal for the major capital campaign gift portion of our campaign. September 15th, we're going to have our first ever art auction. More details to come on that, but that's going to be a community event where we sell art items, and there'll be some exposure for some local as well as some other artists. It is all going to benefit the capital campaign at Jeffrey Mansion. It'll be a community event as well. More to come on that, but that's going to be exciting. And I mentioned before that we've had massive donations in this wonderfully generous community that's allowed us to do what we've done, but we want to make sure that everybody feels that they're involved involved. We've started what's called the 1908 Society. It's a way to say, yes, I'm a donor to the Community Foundation. I want to be part of everything that's going on at the community. And the entry into the 1908 Society, which gets its name from the year that Bexley was founded, is a donation of $19.08. And we just want to make it very clear, we welcome everyone's support, we welcome everyone's volunteer efforts, we welcome your ideas, and we're very, very grateful to be a part of this very, very generous community. So thank you very much. And now it's my honor to introduce the president of Capital University, Beth Paul.
Good evening. Wonderful to be here with you all, and wonderful to be part of a community that clearly understands the power and possibility that is created by education. It's a hard time to be an educational institution right now in our society. We face a society that is questioning the value of higher education, really at all levels. You know, we are facing this throughout. And we make a strong statement here that education is a central part of what we are as a community, and I'm really very proud to be part of that. So at Capital, you'll remember last year, I talked a little bit about our 4 areas of strategic focus. These are areas that are meant to be defining of what sets Capital apart. They are meant to define the value of Capital University. They're also meant to move us. So I want to give you some examples of how they've been moving us this year. First and foremost, we offered a new scholarship program at the beginning of the year. I hope many of you heard about it, and if you know, if you're on the board of a nonprofit organization, or you know families who are in the nonprofit community or in government, the public sector, please let them know that there is a scholarship opportunity just for them that makes sure that they do not pay more than 50% tuition at Capital University. The reason we did this was a recognition that there is a slice of our population that doesn't think of private higher education, independent schools, as an opportunity for their education. Yet we know that oftentimes for those students, an independent school like Capital is the best kind of education for them. It is the place where they thrive. So this targets that population to say, no, we value you. You are welcome here, and this is accessible to you. It's also a way to state to you, to state to the broader community, that this is what we believe in. We are an institution that stands for good. We are an institution that commits ourselves to community, that commits ourselves to a better world through the kind of transformative education that we provide, and through an incredible student body that we attract to Capital and then send out into the world. Thanks to our provost, longtime Bexley resident Jody Fournier. He doesn't think he drew this, but he really did. He's been doing exceptional work, working with our faculty and staff to lead a definition of learning that is very contemporary, looking at the future of our society and the kinds of skills, the kinds of abilities that our employers are saying we need for that future to thrive. And he is making sure that the areas of our curriculum are definitively connecting with those future skills so that our students are ready to go out and take on the world and create the better world that we all so much want. He is also very involved in helping us to expand our graduate programs. This is particularly in the area of health and well-being. You know that we've had a nursing program for a very long time. It's one of our stronger programs. We have several areas of strength, of course, but nursing has been a very important one. And we recognize that part of the good we need to foster in our community is through supporting health and well-being. We know that looking at the population trends, we know that we have a swiftly increasing population of older adults. We know that there are a number of other health and well-being issues. Kim talked earlier about the well-being issues that are critical, and they are staggering in terms of their rates. We're looking at rates now of about a third of students in higher education presenting with various forms of mental health challenge. This is huge in our society, and so how can we be a proactive part in that? So you can see some of the programs that we're bringing on board or developing right now. We have a new program called the Doctor of Nursing Practice that is starting in the fall. We also have a Master of Legal Studies. This is a program that does not culminate in the Juris Doctor. So in other words, the graduates can't practice law, but it is a program to help them be expert in the law. And we're finding that with our employers in a number of sectors all throughout our city and region, they're looking for people who are knowledgeable about law. It is an advantage for their area of business, but they don't necessarily have to practice law. So in this program, a first area of concentration will be compliance, and a second area of concentration will be cyber law. The board just approved a Master of Clinical Counseling. This is a critically important program for us. We have a wonderful partnership in the works with Nationwide Children's Hospital, who also has a deep commitment to behavioral health and mental health in our youth population. So this program has been approved by our board. It needs to go through all the hoops for accreditation, but it will be launched soon. In development is a Master of Social Work program, also a Master in Management program, a leadership program, redesigning our Master of Business Administration, and Trinity Lutheran Seminary, now a year into again being part of Capital University, and we're so happy to have our university all together again. One of the most interesting things we're seeing there is that we have people who are interested in attaining the degrees that we offer, but we have an increase in adults who are simply interested in taking a course or two here and there. And what we're hearing from these adults is they want a place where they can think and they can reflect and they can find meaning and they can find a sense of community. And so we are finding that as a wonderful increase in our seminary. We have been so pleased to connect with our community more and more and more. So a fourth area of strategy for us is our multi-layered community. When you think about Capital University, we start in this wonderful community of Bexley. We progress all through the Near East Side and to downtown Columbus, which is where the law school exists. And we have a commitment to that entire community. That whole ecosystem is a learning environment for our students that truly is unmatched. So how can we make more and more of that? Well, first of all, it is being a better neighbor in Bexley and being a better citizen here so that we open our doors and make sure that you know all of what's contained in this incredible university that you have in this wonderful city. So we were thrilled to host the Drexel Theater Gala this year. I was a little dismayed, but also really excited by walking around that gala and having so many people say to me, you know what, I've never actually been on the Capitol campus before. These are longtime residents. Well, it's time. If you have not been to the Capitol campus, please come, and please let us know how we can introduce you to the marvels that are Capitol. Oops, back again. Whoa. Okay. We also had some other very important events on campus this year that welcomed all different kinds of people to our community. The most recent one you might have noticed on last Friday, we had about 800 rising educators, high school students interested in education, interested in teaching from all over the country. And they were at the Capitol campus and experiencing their future at Capitol, which was very exciting. We are continuing our Older But Bolder initiative, and you will see this continue to grow in the years to come quite significantly. This year, the event is coming up on March 25th and 26th. We have a whole array of programming on active aging, and it really is a favorite event in our community, and we very much appreciate the many partners that help us to make this a reality. We have a new documentary that was produced by a set of students in 2 courses, working with a media and film professor and also a history professor, drawing on documentary film skills, but also our archive. And it is a study of Capitol in the 60s. I urge you to come and see this documentary. It is fascinating, and it is fascinating about Capitol, of course, but it is Capitol in the Bexley community. So I urge you to come and enjoy that. The next showing will be on March 20th. Actually, the next showing, I think, is coming up like tomorrow. something like that. But anyway, or maybe it was today. But March 20th, there is a showing at 7 o'clock at the Bexley Public Library, and we hope that you can come and be part of that. Our music programs, you might know, have been celebrating 100 years of music at Capitol. Can you imagine? We have had 100 years of celebrating music and the importance of music in our society. We have a new exciting partnership coming out with Opera Columbus. We have a wonderful opera and music theater program. We had an exceptional performance in January, and it makes me quite optimistic about what we're going to see in mid-April with Kiss Me Kate. It is extraordinary, the talent that is in this conservatory. If you have not experienced that, please call my office. Tell me how you would like to explore what's happening in our conservatory, and we'll make sure to include you. It is extraordinary, the talent that we attract to Capitol and put out into the world. Coming up soon in April is the Trout Lecture. This is a celebration of African American theology, and we attract leaders from all around the world to this event every year. It's been one of the most inspiring events that I have experienced at Capitol in my time there, and I welcome you on April 25th and 26th to enjoy that event. You know the Schumacher Gallery, which is hidden way up in the sky in the library. It is an extraordinary art collection. We're interested in building on the front of the Blackmore Library in the years to come so that we can pull that down, out so that it can be much more of a wonderful treat for our Bexley community and a welcoming space for our Bexley community. But please come and visit us there. I've told you about the celebration of 100 years of music. Our Gala concert, this would be a wonderful opportunity for you to enjoy the conservatory, March 29th and 30th. And then our Jazz and World Music Festival, which is a national class event. And that is April 11th. And in particular, you might be interested in knowing that the Airmen of Note will be performing at that event. We have a day that celebrates the special kind of learning that happens at Capitol University. You will be awed by the quality of work that our students produce. Come on over and walk through, especially on Wednesday, April 17th. You can see at the bottom we have a lunch and a student poster session. It's open. It's in the Capitol Center field house. All you have to do is walk in and you'll be welcome, and you can walk around and you'll be awed by the work that is happening there. And then finally, we have a lot of excitement at Capitol right now because of the Good Guarantee. The Good Guarantee has given us local, regional, and national press about Capitol University and the commitment that we're making. And as a result, right now we're running between 20 and 30% ahead in our enrollment numbers for the fall. So on April 14th, I've trained myself to always knock every time I say that, knock on wood. But it's very exciting for this community. So on April 14th, we have a special event every year in the middle of April where we welcome the students that we have admitted. They're making their final decision about whether to come to Capitol. So this is a day where we open our whole community, and so many of you are part of that day, and I'm very grateful for that. I have the honor and privilege of introducing Elaine Pells, and before I introduce her, I will say the Chamber is a wonderful partner in helping businesses to collaborate with Capitol to welcome the newest families, to welcome the newest students to our community. And it is a very special commitment. It's a very special expression of what community means here and the part that Capitol plays in that. So I welcome you to come on by and welcome our newest students on April 14th. And with that, I will introduce to you Elaine Pells, and I will say thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it, Carol.
Okay. Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, that's not me. Sam. For those of you who don't know me, I've been a Bexley resident, a proud Bexley resident for over 20 years, and I'm proud to be the Chamber of the Bexley Area Chamber of Commerce. 2018 was a great year for the Bexley Chamber, but we've also known for a while that 2019 was going to be even better. In fact, we've coined 2019 the best year yet. Here's how we know this, although I'm not sure this is the right slide. That is not. There it is. Our mission as a chamber is to serve our constituents, as you can see here. And with that, we have goals to enable and ensure a strong, healthy, and vibrant business community, which naturally serves the residents as well. In 2018, or not, oh dear. In 2018, we grew our membership by 75. Think of that. We are currently just under 300 members of the chamber. We did that by providing value through over 30 programs, 30 networking, promotional, and educational opportunities. We built if there was a slide up here that showed all this, you would see that. I'm not sure what's coming next, so I'm pausing. We built a flourishing women in business group. We hosted, in conjunction with the Bexley Celebrations Committee, we hosted a tremendous Memorial Day food truck festival and Jazz in the Park series kickoff. We held our fabulous 10th anniversary to the Taste of Bexley, which included almost 30 food vendors. We held the best attended holiday hop to date. And if you kind of creep into 2019, in January, on the second coldest day of the year, we hosted a very successful beer crawl to get people out in the middle of winter. I know. We did it by also moving our location to a more centralized and accessible place. You can tell this was taken before the beer crawl, but right when we got our sign put up, so yay, come visit, knock on our door. We did it by building a new website that is full of information about our members and our services. And we did it by publishing a directory that is also full of information about our members and our services. Our consistent increase in event attendance, in partnerships, and in volunteers tells us that we're doing something right. So, what's ahead for 2019? That was 2018. Oh man, this is... What's ahead for 2019? Get out your cell phones because you're going to want to put this in your calendars. On May 2nd, look at, I see people doing this, that's good. On May 2nd, we're going to be hosting a brand new event to kick off spring. And that event is geared towards educating and promoting the entrepreneurs in our community. We're calling it Everyone Starts Somewhere. The event will include a panel of successful entrepreneurs, followed by an expo of many of our community entrepreneurs, consultants, freelancers, and startups who don't have a brick and mortar presence. Part of that evening, our panelists, they're a stellar and diverse group, and here's who they are. James Clear is a New York Times best-selling author, photographer, and blogger. Colin Castor is the founder of Seventh Son Brewing Company. And Madison McHale Bush happens to be a Capital University 2014 alum. And she founded an app called Point that is to connect volunteers and nonprofits as easy as you can hail your Uber. So we're pretty excited about all that. If that's not enough for you, following this is May 2nd at Jeffrey Mansion. Later on in May, we're going to continue with more of the programs that we've already hosted. We're going to be partnering again with the Bexley Library on our second startup series. It follows more information for entrepreneurs. The theme of it is food trucks. Coincidentally or not, later in May is the Food Truck Festival. How did we do that? In conjunction again with the Bexley Celebrations Committee and their Jazz in the Park. We're going to have a wine walk in June, following our successful beer crawl, date to be determined. My husband keeps telling me we should have a bourbon brawl. I'm not doing that. Not going there. But we're rounding out the year with our 11th annual Taste of Bexley and another successful holiday hop. So in closing, our goal, let's see where it is on here. Okay. There, in closing, sort of. Our goal is to keep moving and keep busy for the businesses in the community, and of course, for the community residents as a whole. We are an independent nonprofit organization funded by sponsorships and membership. Learn more about us, come get involved with us. You can come talk to me or any of our board members, and remember that 2019 is the best year yet. With that, Mr. Mayor. I have no idea.
You did fantastic. Elaine Pells. You don't need slides, Elaine. You did fantastically. All right, I want to close with three thoughts. First off, I want to thank Kim Miller and the Bexley City Schools for hosting. Thank you very much. This is a fantastic and vibrant facility. As I listen to all the presenters this evening, I'm reminded of what a beautiful and complicated and wonderful community we have. And the thought that popped into my head was that of a clock tower, and how it takes all of these cogs to move the community together. And we have some really, really cool cogs. So good job, guys. At any self-respecting state of the community, I'm supposed to say this: the state of the Bexley community is strong, or insert whatever you want there. But I don't think that's good enough. I think the state of our community is bold, it's adventurous, it's innovative, it's exciting, it's groundbreaking, and it's leading. It's leading by inspiring, by trying, and by succeeding. And this is all because of you and all of the member organizations here tonight, and even those who were not here tonight. This is a community that I love and that I know we all love and that we're proud of. Thank you for being a part of it. Have a fantastic 2019. Go get them, Bexley. Be bold. Thank you.